DFW to Helsinki now. There's
Is it as cheap as the one you showed me from Detroit?
They're only $3,000.
I don't know. Steven was going through the math in his head today of whether he was going to pay to go or not. So
Hi.
I think we're live.
Guess what? We're live. That's what they want us to do. I guess just be talking about really inappropriate things and then just go. No.
This one was appropriate today.
DLLS Dallas Stars podcast today is day 2 of training camp. Sean is here. Luddy's not. So let's get going with today's show.
Day 2 training camp in the books. Jake Oettinger signing autographs back here behind me. Lots of fans for the scrimmage. But in case you missed it, here's what happened yesterday on DLLS Dallas Stars podcast.
I took that thing and put it on my German Shepherd, and I let him run around the yard with it for a while. And then I had one of the things call me and ask me if I was okay. What do you mean? Well, your numbers are all they're like, these aren't normal numbers. I said, oh, it must be the monitor. And they just said, okay, well, never mind.
Leaving on a jet plane. That's you, man.
For 10% off. Nailed it. Again, memorized, nailed it.
Big night tonight.
Owen
hey, Johnny.
and John's New England Patriots, which I just found out just now that Owen is a Patriots fan.
I grew up in Maine. New England,
AKA the... Yeah, I'm not going to read that next part.
Read it. What is it?
Are on Thursday Night Football.
No,
Nope.
read it.
Why don't you call me when you have thoughts late at night?
Charles also has found 2 dead people. Found 2
Found?
dead people. Yeah.
Like stumbled across?
Yeah. One guy was in a car. One guy was on a motorcycle.
Watching John write this down.
Really, it's a big shit. It is Friday, September 20th. 1 week since our big show in studio with Daryl Razor Ray. And today, we don't have Craig Ludwig on our DLS Dallas Stars podcast. Thanks for joining us. Instead, we have Sean Shapiro, our intrepid DLS Stars columnist, along with Sam Nessler, our beat writer. So I am surrounded by the printed word today, the digital word, since you guys aren't exactly writing it by hand anymore. But that's okay. Look at that. Sean was not at Stars Camp today, but Sam and I were. There's Sean's cartoon, which, by the way, show that cartoon again, John. That is Sean before he tightened up everything. He trimmed the beard, got a haircut.
Long
yeah,
That's the like Castaway Sean Shapiro cartoon.
It'll grow back. It'll grow
I
back.
trust it.
It's the eventually the line is it grows to a perspective where I have to start tying my hair back to play goalie in beer league, and then all of a sudden it's time to go get a haircut. That's the
your
line.
demarcation line.
Yes,
right.
That's the demarcation
We
line.
talked about Sean's beer league goalie skills yesterday. Did you see us talking about your beer league goalie yesterday on the show?
I did watch this.
I had your back.
I watched the show. I watched the show. Yes.
I had your back. Everyone else didn't have your
Wait a
back.
minute.
I had your back.
I've played with Sean
I
repeatedly.
haven't, and I still said you were great.
And I said he was good. I just said he's not a pro, which I don't think is a slight to Sean or any of us not named Craig Ludwig on the show.
I did. So to be fair, one thing Luds and I do have in common is I have been paid to play hockey at one point. Now, I was playing hockey in a movie and I was being paid, but technically that makes me a professional hockey player, just like Craig Ludwig.
Well,
you
I'm
are
surprised-
ineligible to play NCAA hockey.
I'm surprised you didn't bring
I
up
think
the New York City NHL showcase thing you did with the goalie competition.
Yes, I didn't get paid for that though. Like I actually got a check to put on pads and play hockey in the movie. So that is the.
Do you want to plug your movie real quick?
Of course, let's plug the movie. Go
for it.
watch the late game. It's a beer league hockey movie. TheLateGame.com. It's on multiple platforms now, including Apple and Amazon Prime and everything like that. TheLateGame.com. Go watch the movie. Thanks for the free ad read.
There you go. So to start our day today, the Sans Luds, he's actually traveling right now to Pittsburgh with his U18 team, which is playing in the USHL tournament, Sean?
It is the USHL Fall Classic is going on right now.
But there's others going on.
Yeah,
as well
it's underneath the same kind of body of work. It's a This is one of the kind of the kickoff events for the 2025 NHL draft is in Pittsburgh right now, or Cranberry or whatever. It's the USH,
which
all
is
32
north
NHL
of
teams.
downtown, right? Their practice rink
Yeah.
for the Penguins in Cranberry is what? Is about a half hour north of downtown?
Roughly, yeah. And so they've got the USHL. It's kind of an interesting setup because the USHL, they've got the USHL games going. Every USHL team plays 2 games there. NHL teams are there scouting that. And then since all the USHL teams are there, the reason that they started this U18, and I think there's also a U16 tournament as well, if I remember correctly, it's so the USHL teams can then scout the other tournament. It's kind of like this whole, like, everyone moves up and watches the next wave type weekend in Pittsburgh right now.
Well, the reason why I bring it up, not only because Luddy's not here, but because we knew, and we talked about it on the show yesterday, that our favorite former Dallas star was going to be there. I didn't say his name, but we're talking about Joe Pavelski. Now you can hit the ding. There you go.
There's the ding.
And sure enough, their TV play-by-play guy for the Penguins, Josh Getzoff, tweeted today that, look at that. Can we make that the full screen, John, so that everyone can see this? We're going to work on that. So we got a tweet from Josh Getzoff saying Joe Pavelski was at Penguins training camp today. I'm not sure that Craig Ludwig is making an appearance over the weekend at Penguins training camp, but he will be in the same city as Joe, and they may even bump into each other.
He'll be at a bar nearby.
Yeah. Yeah. Somewhere in the vicinity. There's the full screen.
Yeah.
So you can see we've got Luds and Pavs both in Pennsylvania.
We got to get Joe a cartoon.
Sean is in Detroit, and we are in Texas. Look at those cartoons. We mentioned Joe enough. We should probably have his cartoon made, right?
He's basically an employee.
He's part of the show.
We're gonna need. Did you, when you talked to Wyatt today or yesterday, whenever you talked to him, did you ask him to just today? Did you make sure that he was giving you daily updates of where Joe is so we could update the map?
Boy, you know it's amazing.
Yes.
I'll let Sam tell the story, but so this was day 2 of training camp. It was very similar format. It was an hour of practice for 2 different teams on each of the 2 sheets. So a simultaneous practice, then they resurface the ice and they scrimmage over on the Stars rink, which is the practice side. And then there was a third group of a few guys that were skating separately. But the big thing in the post-scrimmage scrums it was Wyatt Johnston, Tyler Sagan, and then we talked to Pete DeBoer, the Stars head coach. And boy, the questions to Wyatt today, Sam, had a lot to do with where he's living and whether he's talking to Joe or not.
Yeah, I talked to Wyatt in the summer, and he did confirm that he was moving out, and then obviously Joe's not living here, and he's moving into his own apartment. But he was quick to tell me that Logan Stankoven and Thomas Harley were both living in the same complex, so they were going for a college dorm type of vibe. So on your own, but not completely alone, which is probably a smart idea, all jokes aside.
Yeah.
Also, ideal carpool setup too.
Yeah, good like carpool, pre-game meals, all that kind of stuff.
And who knows, if you carpool, a podcast isn't far away.
Oh yeah, there you go.
But we mentioned someone asked about the furniture, if Joe left him any furniture, and he said that Joe left a bunch of furniture for him. And then who was it? Jeff Reese that said. Or that was
Steve Spott. That was Pete that said.
Pete said about Spott
that Steve Spott, Stars assistant coach, was maybe donating a bed.
So as the day went on, we learned more and more that Wyatt is 1, getting furniture from the whole dressing room, and 2, that his parents came down and decorated his apartment, and as he put it, made it look a heck of a lot better than he would have made it look himself. So he's on his own, but he definitely has some assistance on making that place look nice and not like my current setup.
I wanted to ask him a bunch of stuff. Scrum is kind of a weird setting for it because for me, and this is something we'll carry over into what we watch for in the preseason games, which start tomorrow with their first preseason game at home against St. Louis.
Right over here.
Is, that way.
Yeah, right over there.
Yeah, he went you're going to end up in
I'm very bad at directions.
You pointed that way, and you're going to end up in Uptown.
Yeah, you should see me out there looking for the sunset on the wrong side of the horizon.
You're looking east. So, and I asked Pete DeBoer this, so let's get to all of this stuff. And it was a really interesting answer. We talked about, Sean, yesterday, as you saw our show, the legitimate battle for a job in training camp, which last year there were not any legit chances, right? Everybody's contract was pretty much decided. Maybe it was who's going to play with who and who's in what line, but it didn't really feel like any of the AHL or prospect guys had even an inkling of winning a job. This year, as we talked about, there really is. And so I asked Pete in his media availability what he's looking for through the preseason games. And I thought his answer was really interesting. And it was to this point. He said, we think that the opening is not in our top 6. So we're not looking for a top 6 style player. And then he qualified. He said, I don't want to pigeonhole myself. If a guy with top 6 style skills wins a job, we can move somebody else down, right? If somebody plays so well that they are going to break into our top 6, one of the current guys we think is there can always go down in the 3rd or 4th lines. But he said, but what would really be ideal is to somebody to win. And he acknowledged there is a job to be won. Penalty killing, forechecking, smart hockey. He goes, and then the thing that we've talked about a lot, and I really like about Pete DeBoer, I always want my forwards to be able to contribute offensively. He doesn't just want a shutdown defensive checking line. He wants 4 lines that can all contribute.
Yeah, it's like you mentioned, there's not an opening in the top 6. I think with the way the Stars run, there are some legit teams where there is a differentiator between top 6 and bottom 6, right? Like there actually is like, you know what? We're not going to score with the bottom 6 on the ice. It's the only job is to survive. It's funny with what Pete says, like, I'm not looking for someone at the top. The way he runs his team and the way he deploys everyone, you look at the minute differentiation, right? Like it goes from 5-on-5 minutes. Your top line or your 4th line minute wise, they're never more than 2 minutes apart or anything like that. So it's such a wide open thing. It's actually like it's one of the reasons that Radek Fox is no longer here, right? Like you talk about St. Louis is coming to town tomorrow. Like Foxa might be in that lineup. That would be interesting. But the reason Radek Fox is no longer here is because he couldn't contribute offensively the way Pete DeBoer liked. And the contract definitely came into play too. But the big thing was Radek Foxa was a part of an old system where your 4th line, your job was to shut things down and let it be. Pete DeBoer's system is, hey, I want everyone to create chances all the way around. And so that's like, you look at the guys Jim Nill has told us are in that spot. Like he's talked about the Cole Linds, the Arttu Hurus, the Mete Blumels. They all have shown an ability to put the puck in the net at some point in their careers. And that to me, that's notable. It's not just, these are shutdown guys, that they're hard workers. They also turn defense into offense.
Does that, I'm curious for you, Owen, does that give you, we talked about Oscar Beck being a solid option for that because of
Beck too, sorry.
His two-way skill, his physicality, he can also put the puck in the net. Does that give someone like that a leg up because of what he's looking for the role? Or does that over like a Blumel?
I think this is a really interesting thing. I think Beck's size, his overall style of play very much fits into bottom 6 NHL player, right? And so because of that, because he could be a penalty killer, because he has that ability to take faceoffs, another center, I think that they're probably leaning that way. Now, Sean, I got a chance to say hi to Mete Blumel, and one of the things I asked him was, is it weird that Radek's not here anymore? Because, he had very much had a bond with his countrymate. And he said, yeah, it is strange. And he saw the photo that we saw on Twitter yesterday of Fox playing with the Blues in practice gear, and that looked weird because Fox has been with the Stars his entire professional career.
Did you also show him the picture that looks like his entire soul was sucked out of him for the headshot?
Yes,
I didn't see that. Yeah, but that wasn't just Fox. That was Suter
too. Yeah,
yes.
They must have told him no smiles.
That's
passport rule.
Did they show them? Did they say no smiles, or did they show them St. Louis pizza? Because those are the
shots fired. Brian Ray's not going to be happy with you now.
Sean says that because he doesn't have to be here tomorrow when Matt DeFranks shows up and the whole St. Louis contingent.
He would not temper it at all. Trust me. Sean and Matt DeFranks, who's the former Stars beat writer for the Dallas Morning News, now writes for St. Louis as a beat writer for the Blues. You guys have a long history, so there's no punches pulled between you two.
No, not at all.
But I was talking to Blumel, and he acknowledged. Hold on, not that one yet.
I thought it was breaking news. I was like,
oh, we got something. That Sean. There it is, right there.
Yeah,
there's the Radek Fox a death stare.
Yeah.
And that's terrifying. He looks scared, right?
I'm trying to look that sad right here, side by side.
No, that's not scared. That's bewildered.
That's just like, I don't know. It looks like, yeah.
He may be on the verge of telling you that the food is gone and you didn't get a chance to eat. What?
Yeah. Or they told him, because Radek's a very superstitious guy.
Very.
In the Stars lock, he always had to be able to see the clock. I wonder if there's no clock in the room.
That's interesting because Luddy's the same way. He says he has to see a clock, even in his regular life outside of hockey.
But he doesn't wear a watch.
But he doesn't wear a watch, but he has a clock in view in every room in his house.
How big is the font on those clocks in his house? It's the
another
whole wall.
Old He's not even here to defend himself.
The whole wall.
So, Sean, I was talking to Blumel, and I thought it was really interesting. What he said was he wants this job, as you would expect him to, and he feels that he's shown that he can keep up with the NHL pace in his previous games with Dallas, and I agree with that. And I also think that he can be a defensive player. I don't think that he's just about scoring, but it is a part of his game. And if he can win over the coaches, they want guys that can play in the bottom six that can also put the puck in the net.
Yeah, and I mean, he didn't play. He had no NHL games last year. 2 years ago, I thought he actually acquitted himself decently well. Had the goal during that 22-23 season, and like, he's a guy, like, he was a 30 goal scorer in the regular season for Texas last year. He can. There's some guys who score in the AHL who can't translate it to the NHL because they're not going to get the right opportunity. Like, the most famous one, Owen, is, like, you and I both know Travis Morin really well, right? Like, Travis Morin, greatest player in Texas Stars history, had all of these accolades, league MVP.
Really too good for the AHL.
Yeah, but was never really going to succeed in that bottom six role in the NHL where he had to skate more because he wasn't really...
And under the Lindy Ruff style, too.
Correct.
I jump in real quick, Sean. Yeah. Imagine if Pete DeBoer was the head coach of the Stars when Travis Morin was with Texas. I think he has a shot at making that team and sticking.
He has a little bit more of a shot. Yeah, he does. But Blumel is a guy who he scored in the AHL. It wasn't just being a power play merchant. It wasn't just because he's top six. He's a guy who... And Huru is a similar guy. I think Cole Lind is very similar with how he played in Coachella. I went and watched some video on him the other day. A lot of guys who, it's, to use a soccer term, and I'm sorry, Sam, you're getting outnumbered on this right now.
Yes.
They can very much play a bit of, it's very much a bit of the Gegenpress style, where you get the puck right away. And
Do you know what that means?
Oh, yes.
Okay.
I used to play back in the day.
Oh, so he played FIFA.
Yes.
So he knows who Jurgen Klopp and Liverpool are.
Yes.
Good.
Yes, and so he's bewildered right now. He has no idea what we're talking about.
I play as the U.S. on easy, so I can win the World Cup.
International. Okay, fair.
But these guys are guys who they're very good, and we watched Touru with it. I watched Touru with it in person in Traverse City. Guys who are very good at the minute you get the puck back, the minute the other team is most disorganized after losing the puck, they're very good at turning it into opportunity, and that's what Blumel did in the AHL. So. That's why he will fit in Dallas if he wins this job. It's a great competition. Like, there's no bad choice amongst these guys, which is a nice, like, Jim Nill loves their depth. So,
yeah, and Blumel looked good. I mean, again, it's camp, but Blumel played with Duchesne and Sagan today because Marchment sat out the scrimmage. And
not all the same veteran guys participated in the scrimmage.
Yeah, I think Dumbo was out. Marchment sat out. A couple other guys, but the thing that I noticed with Blumel, his shot, man. Not only is it very, very fast and hard, but he puts it in almost the perfect spot, and he gets it off in a hurry. And he looked good today. He almost scored on a 2-on-1 with, I think it was Sagan late in the scrimmage. But is he's solid enough too, right? We saw him in the dressing room.
He's not a big guy.
He's not a big guy, but he's not going to get pushed around.
And he's not afraid. Honestly, he plays a similar style differently, but to a Logan Stankoven. He's a little taller, but you know what? Actually, I would compare him more to Yoel Kiviranta. He's not the biggest guy, but he's not afraid to get his nose dirty.
Yeah.
Blumel. I want to ask you guys a question about that, but we have to pause for a minute because Sam has to tell us about Empire Today.
Oh, yeah. Let's talk about Empire Today. With Empire Today, you get shop-at-home convenience, the right product for your needs, quick and professional installation, and a low price guarantee.
Look at that, Sammy. You got your own shot today.
Yeah, I never get this. I'm always in the middle over here. But Empire Today is the best place to get new flooring. So, of course, they're going to have copycats. But guess what? Copycats are going to come in, cut the prices, and try to sell you less quality products than Empire Today. Empire Today gave us our amazing floor in here, and I'm not sure if we use their amazing little virtual tool where you can snap a shot and
That's
see
above
what
our
their
pay grade.
flooring looks like. I'll have to ask the GM later if they use that in their preparations. But Empire Today is the best place to get new flooring. They won't promise those prices because anyone who does is putting flooring in your home they wouldn't put in their own. Empire's philosophy is to help you find what you need, not overwhelm you with thousands of choices and substitutes. Shopping for floors at a big box store can be frustrating. You might talk to someone today who was working in plumbing yesterday, but flooring is all that Empire Today does. And that's why they're the best. Schedule a free in-home estimate. All listeners can receive a $350 off discount when they use the promo code DLLS. Restrictions apply. See empiretoday.com/DLLS for details.
I need to talk briefly about Indeed. Look, we don't hire here, not at DLLS, but Sam and I don't have the power. That's up above our pay grade. But the people that do can use Indeed, and it makes their life a whole lot better. Look, we're driven by the search for better, but when it comes to hiring, the best way to search for a candidate isn't to search at all. Don't search, match with Indeed. Here's the thing. Sometimes people are hiring and they just are overwhelmed with how slow it is. It's a laborious process. There's all these things you have to do, and you're having trouble finding the right candidate or the best candidates. Why not use Indeed? It simplifies. It makes it faster. It makes it higher quality. All of those things make Indeed a much better choice than trying to do it without Indeed. Well, Indeed does all these wonderful things, including leveraging over 140 million qualifications and preferences every day. Indeed's matching engine is constantly learning. So with your preferences, you now have a better Indeed experience. Join the more than 3.5 million businesses worldwide that use Indeed to hire great talent fast. And listeners of this show, as you can see on your screen if you're watching, you will get a $75 sponsored job credit. Thank you, Sean. Sean's pointing. For those audio listeners, you can't see he's pointing.
He does it the wrong way each time, too, which I get because it's hard when you're remote to know which way you're supposed to be going.
Right? But anyway, you can get a $75 sponsored job credit to get your jobs more visibility at Indeed.com/AllCity. Just go to Indeed.com/AllCity right now, and you can support our show by mentioning that you heard about it on the DLLS Dallas Stars podcast. Indeed.com/AllCity. Terms and conditions apply. You need to hire? You need Indeed. Getting back to our conversation. Go ahead, Sean.
Oh, we got a super chat.
Oh, super chat.
Wow.
That's what the
Corey
yellow.
Dudley.
Go ahead, Sammy.
What do we got? Super chat. I'm wearing my contacts today, so I can actually read that.
Go for it.
Corey Dudley, super chat, $9.99. We're back to the 99s, but I like the $9.99. That's a solid number here in Dallas.
That's Madonna and Stanley Cup year at least.
He says, "Does Sam know who?" Do I have to try to say the name?
You have to read this. It's a super chat.
Does Sam know who? I just saw how to pronounce it too. Shohei.
There's no
Shohei?
way this is real.
Is it Hey? No, Shohei, right?
You have got to be doing a bit.
You think I'm doing a bit? You don't know me.
How do you not know how to say Shohei Ohtani's name?
I just wasn't sure if
Our
it was
Ranger
Shohei
show
or Shohei.
is appalled at you right now. Don't make me go get Elijah because he's going to be so upset. You have to know how to say Shohei Ohtani.
Shohei
He doesn't
Ohtani.
know how to pronounce the best hitter in and pitcher in baseball.
I actually do know, and
What's going on?
I know that the Dodgers won 20-4 yesterday, and that Mr. Shohei had 3 home runs and 10 RBIs.
You're faking. It's a bad act.
2 of something that I actually didn't know what it was. Something else. I don't remember what it was. But he was incredible.
You mean hits?
No, it wasn't hits. It was like S something. Strikeout? Did he pitch too?
No, he didn't. He hasn't pitched this whole year because of Tommy John.
But he was incredible. So Corey, I do know. Yes. Thank you.
Sean,
wait.
Is he faking this?
Wait, okay. If I say he had 2 SB yesterday in baseball terms, you don't know what I'm talking about?
That's what it was.
You don't know what SBs are?
You don't know what that is?
God.
Wait,
Where's
hold
our
on,
Ranger show?
Hold on. SB.
Somebody call Abby over here.
It's a batter thing, right? Because he didn't pitch. So
nope.
No.
I mean, you have to be hitting. You have to be hitting to do it, though. Like you have to have
stolen
come
bases.
to plate.
Wow.
Yes. Okay, there
the
you
whole
go.
point was he was the first 50-50, 50 home runs, 50 stolen bases, and then he hit 51-51.
Oh, I didn't realize what the 50-50 meant when it
that was a big deal because nobody's ever done that.
I did see that he had 10 RBIs though. That's incredible.
Okay, getting back to hockey. Although thank you very much, Corey, for your super chat.
I appreciate the super chats.
We were talking.
So if the super chats make me look bad, then we got to just.
It's okay. Keep it going. So we were talking about this 13th forward, and I think that's a big thing to watch in the preseason games. Sean, you wanted to mention something about the Victory Plus viewing area just quickly. So do that, and then I'll ask my question.
Yeah, I mean, I think one of the things, just quick service announcement for people. Like, if you're in the Stars TV market, so anywhere, basically Texas, Oklahoma, Louisiana, I think that's
Arkansas?
it. Arkansas, thank you. You will be able to watch.
Don't
the game
forget
live.
about Arkansas.
I know. Don't forget about Arkansas. If you are outside of that market, unfortunately, you will not be able to legally stream the Stars game through Victory Plus tomorrow, because and that is an ESPN Plus issue, where ESPN Plus has the option to pick up as many games as they want, but they did not pick up that one. I think they only picked up the Minnesota Winnipeg out of market game for tomorrow night. So if you want to, so that's just a service announcement. If you're outside of, I've already texted Brad Albers to complain about it, I promise, and Brad told me that it's not his fault, so be patient. So there.
The Stars didn't get any preseason games on ESPN Plus. I saw Sean tweeted out the ESPN Plus coverage. They're not on there at all, so they didn't pick up any of their games.
They get a lot of national games during the season, so they'll make up.
I'll take that over the preseason.
I do wonder too if just from an ease of use thing too, because the Ducks weren't on there either, and so part of it is pulling it from the same. There's a history of pulling stuff from a Diamond-owned network, from a Nesson, from whatever, from what other ones. I think maybe just there might be something
like the Comcast ones.
Altitude.
Yeah, there might be something too, as there's still a learning curve.
Now.
Yeah, yes, a learning curve between getting a parent media company, Victory Plus, into there. Maybe that's just kind of part of it, I guess. I don't know. I'm making stuff up now.
My question to you guys is, very quickly, and then we'll move on to some other topics. If you had, before the games have started, we've only had 2 days of training camp, which player do you think has, in your mind, the upper hand? We'll start with Sean for that open forward spot, whether it's the 12 or the 13th forward. We won't distinguish that, because I think 12 forwards, as we talked about yesterday, are pretty much locked in due to the contracts. And I'm talking about the guys that were here from last year plus Colin Blackwell. So of the other ones that we've discussed, who do you think right now is the odds-on favorite to win the job? And then we'll revisit it after all the preseason games.
Right now, odds-on favorite, I would probably go with Blumel right now, just from the past comfort level with. Now, he didn't play for DeBoer last year, but past comfort level for what he's done. Jim Nill is a very loyal man. And so I'm going with that on the slight edge of Ty goes to a little bit of the history there is kind of where I'm going with that. And I also think he's a slightly better fit than Beck. So
I have a two-part answer. I hope it's Blumel.
You're cheering for him.
I've really liked his game ever when he impressed, I think 2 years ago at camp. I thought he would be a good fit a couple years down the road. I would pick Beck, simply because of what we just talked about, that what Pete said, he likes someone who can play the two-way. He's got the size, so he's not going to be maybe pushed around as much. But I think it's very close. Like it's not one where you think there's a big favorite and these other guys are behind. I really think that Beck, Blumel, Huru, and I just think it's just very, very tight.
Boy,
I just got, by the way, I just got a Mattel Blumel story texted to me right now while we're on the air. I got a
story.
So I know a couple people who work in the hockey card space, and they sell cards. Mate Blumel was the first player that ever bought his own card from them. So like Mate Blumel, they have shipped cards to his apartment in Texas. Cards from that Mate Blumel has bought of himself, which is funny because this reminds me of Martin Hansel, who was also Czech, by the way. So now I'm curious. Martin Hansel had a copy of every single card of his he ever owned. Like Martin Hansel would be on eBay bidding over for his own card. So
no way.
So I now need, Sam, your homework is next time you talk to Mate Blumel, I need you to ask him about his card collecting habits.
Done. Hopefully he plays tomorrow so I can ask him more.
Well, and I found out today, this is the Mate Blumel hour, that he's staying with Alish Hemsky and Hemsky's family right now, not in the hotel, because they're from the same hometown, which I didn't know. And he actually played with, he told me, I think it was either Hemsky's dad or uncle was like a coach. So like there's a huge tie-in from his youth hockey days.
Young hockey.
Young, as Sam called it yesterday, young hockey. But seriously, I'm rooting for Blumel because I've known him for a couple years now, and I think not only is he a good player, but he seems like a really good kid. He is a good kid. I do have sort of a hunch that they're leaning towards Oscar Beck because of the size and the sort of penalty killing, sort of shutdown style center that he is. The thing is that I think they love Sam Steele in the middle, so Beck would have to play wing. That's what makes me think that maybe Blumel has the upper hand. But Arttu Huru is also a guy, and so I guess I'm waffling here. I'm going to say Beck barely over Blumel, but the thing is that what if Blackwell's the guy that wins that spot, which is very possible? They don't want Blumel or Beck sitting.
I mean, Blackwell's going to be on the team. We know Blackwell's
No.
not
I'm talking
going
about
down.
in the
Okay,
lineup. Right?
Yeah.
So like, Arttu Huru is a free agent signing from Finland. He's 25. I'm not saying they want him on the roster.
He's 23. He's 23.
Oh, 23. Sorry, but he's a free agent signing. He's not a draft pick. So they would want him playing and learning the North American game more. But I don't think that they, because of the investment of prospects, I think they'd be more comfortable with him being in and out of the lineup on the NHL roster than say Beck or Blumel, who they'd rather be playing if they're not going to be.
Wait. So
I'm saying I don't know if they want them to be the 13th forward.
Oh, look at Sean.
Huru's younger than both of them.
Is he?
Like Huru's younger than both Blumel and Beck. They're both 24.
I got to look at it again because
like they're both 20. Yeah, like Blumel and Beck. Great, they're 24. If they're going to be NHLers, it's going to be now. Like to me, it's like Huru's actually the younger guy. Huru's 23.
You think that even though they haven't put any investment in him as draft, develop, and play, that they're okay with one of the other two being a guy that might not play every NHL game as a 13th?
100%. Huru to me is more of a quote unquote prospect. He's younger. He's 23.
Yeah, he is
he's
only
just
23.
A prospect.
You're right about that.
He's a prospect who just hasn't done his time in this system in his organization. So to me, Blumel and Beck are at the spot where, and also Huru is the guy who you need playing more games in North America to kind of go through all of that.
That part I agree with. Yep.
Yeah. So for me, Huru is the guy where I have a hard time seeing him make the opening night roster because I don't think Pete DeBoer is going to put him in the lineup on opening night. So that's why I see that.
To me, he's the one that if he plays well in the preseason, he can change some minds. But if it was right now, that's why I'm not picking him to make that over Beck or Blumel. I just think it's interesting because, again, I agree with you on the age part, but I do sort of think that if you have a lot invested in a player, you don't want him to just be sitting eating popcorn and scratch.
I mean, he's played Blumel Blumel's already played close to 130 games in North America already. Beck's played around 145 in North America. Like if they're gonna, I mean, I don't see what other development they're just truthfully I get to a point where it's like I don't see what other development they're going to do right now. For them, the spot is the 13th forward job is an in and out job. So that is a spot to me where, okay, you're in and out. This is what's going to happen. I don't think any of these guys are considered prospects anymore. They're all even Cole Lind is 24. We talk about they're all 24-year-old players. Yep. I'm a big believer that players hit their prime around 24, 25. So it should just be your best option who's ready to play, in my view, with Huru being the one exception where I want to see him play in more North America.
So I have 2 points here, but first, Sean, I want to ask you, do you see Dallas carrying 13 right out of the start?
I think they'll carry. I don't have Texas's schedule right in front of me, so I don't know. I know they go to Nashville. They'll take 13 to Nashville on October 10th. Yes, so they open on the road on October 10th. They'll take 13 in case something happens in warm-ups. But I don't know if Texas plays on that Friday or Saturday. I don't have the Texas schedule in front of me, so could easily see a quick roster move Friday morning so someone could play down with Texas. So I think yes, 13 for October 10th. The first home game, maybe not. I think that's fair. So
okay. I could even see them naming 12 on the opening night roster and calling somebody up for that because they could still be, talk about accruing. They have some space anyway. They can have 13 and still be accruing cap space at the beginning of the season.
Well, they're going to want to do more of that too, just because there is the
So
holdover
Texas is home,
from,
Sean, the 11th and 12th against Henderson in the AHL
Okay.
Texas Stars.
Yeah.
So
So
that would be easy for them to do that because Dallas, after the opener against the Predators, have 4 of their next 5 games at home,
including I think Taylor was telling me there's a back-to-back.
Oh, yeah.
Saturday, Sunday,
first weekend, Islanders and Kraken,
3 and 4 nights. So way to ease into the schedule there.
the other interesting spot for where these people go on all of this, to me, that's interesting is, and I have to double check. We should probably ask Jim Nill on this. I believe teams roster spots for the trip to Finland. I think they do. We have to double check on this too.
Yeah, that would be an interesting one to see if they're allowed a little extra grace period because of that trip.
Yeah, I would imagine that. But
to get a nice nice international trip.
So we're going to talk.
They will get a third goal. There will be a third goalie on the trip. They do get to bring a third goalie to Finland, but I'm getting way ahead of myself right now.
So yeah, one thing, Owen, before we do that, important part about what you mentioned with center and back end steel. Pete DeBoer made it a really big point yesterday when I asked him about the center spots, that you can never have too many centers, and he would rather be putting someone who might not be playing their top position than having not enough of that. So I just think it's something to keep in mind, where I don't think that someone doesn't get a spot just because they're also a center, or because Sam Steele might be better at center. I don't think he takes away the guy that deserves the spot. That's just my opinion.
Yeah, I agree on that.
You can never have too many centers. You can never have too many defensemen. Yeah. I mean, I'm just waiting for the check. We're gonna get through the checklist of the whole season, right? At some point, you can never have too many penalty killers. Like, you can never have too much of anything.
You always need more goaltending.
Except for cake. You can have too much cake sometimes. It makes you feel a little gassy.
I can't believe that got brought up just now. By the way, cake is wonderful. Let's move on to our DLS Diehard program. You can join becoming a DLS Diehard by going to alldls.com, click on the Diehard link, and sign up for the annual subscription. You'll get a free t-shirt code that'll cover basically about half of your annual cost as well. We have both of our writers on the show today. They have great stuff that they have been putting on our site for the entirety of we're almost through our first 4 weeks of doing this. Some of it is behind the Diehard paywall. So if you want to read everything that these two guys, Sean and Sam, write, you have to be a Diehard. Guys, you want to plug anything specifically?
I was going to say, I think Sean's piece on Hemming yesterday was a Diehard only, right? Correct? That's an awesome piece. Yeah. That type of stuff where you get really deep, especially prospect stuff or exclusive interviews. I think that's going to be stuff we like to put behind the paywall. So become a Diehard so you can read that amazing stuff by Sean.
Yeah.
All right.
Thank you, Sam.
Looking at let's do the goaltending conversation first, because we're going to run out of time. We have a long list of things to get to, but let's talk about this happening in Bruins camp and Bruins general manager Don Sweeney addressing all the swirling conversation about RFA goalie Jeremy Swayman still not being under contract.
Like, what specifically inaccuracies are
Go ahead and ask me a specific one. If you got knowledge of it, like that we haven't offered an 8-year deal, or we haven't, we're not willing to compromise, or we haven't moved on things. Like, at the end of the day, I'm not talking about specifics. You're just not gonna get it. But the fact I did reference one, as a matter of fact. I think it's bullshit that somebody says I wouldn't return a call for 3 weeks. That's inaccurate. Was it written? Was it said? Was it written?
that one? I'm not sure.
Well, I will tell you, I don't listen to podcasts. I said my son loves biz, thinks he's fabulous. I think he's a great entertainer, okay? But at the end of the day, they're inaccurate. And that's okay, because that's all part of the business nowadays. It's okay if you turn around and say it's your opinion or your belief and such, but don't report it as fact. That's all.
All right, Sean, obviously we do a lot of goalie talk because when you're on for clear reasons of you're a big goalie guy, but this is in reference to something Paul Bissonnette said on his podcast, very popular, Spittin' Chicklets, and clearly Don Sweeney, the GM of the Bruins, was not happy with the fact that he claimed that to be very, very inaccurate.
Yeah, I mean, it's, to me, the most telling part of the whole Sweeney conversation, the public comments, have been he's used the December 1st deadline already. He's talked about the December 1st deadline. And for those who don't know, real quick, for a restricted free agent, if you're not signed by December 1st as a restricted free agent, you are now ineligible for the entire season. And for Sweeney to be talking about that already is more telling to me about how far apart they are than anything anyone else reports or says or whatever. Because a lot of times people say the quiet things out loud in that thing, where it's no longer, they're not even thinking about training camp. They're not even thinking about opening night. It's, can we get him signed before so he can play in June, or sorry, April or May or June, right? That to me is the thing. And Swayman is from all accounts, he's a pretty confident guy in his stance, and he's willing to stand by that. So it also, him as a goalie, if all of a sudden they go in and Boston struggles the first couple weeks without him, it only strengthens his position too. So it's.
Sweeney said, this is a quote from the NHL.com piece about this same presser that we saw. At the end of the day, I'm optimistic because I think we'll find a landing spot before December 1st. And to echo Sean's sentiments, as soon as I saw that line, I said, he's not going to be signed before the end of training camp. Now, maybe something will change, and maybe this urgency and this media attention now that camp is underway sparks a little urgency in the negotiations. But Sam, it just feels like when they say, well, we'll have him signed, I'm confident, before December 1st, you go, whoa.
Yeah, usually you hear like we'll get him for the opening night if it's close at all. But Elliot Friedman talked about something on 32 Thoughts. I think it was today. He said December 1st was also a smart move by the GM to say that, because now it gets a little urgency. Now the media starts talking about it. Now that date is on the Bruins pregame, and they're talking about it during games. And I don't know that it really does anything, but I think it's a play where that's now out there, and now the pressure all of a sudden is building up to that date versus just, hey, we're trying to sign him, this is what's going on. Now he's put that out there. That could maybe push Swayman to do it. That could push them to do it. I don't know which side it favors, but I think it's a smart move to get that pressure up, because obviously they want to get this done as quickly as possible. That's their starting goalie.
Sean, how does this affect Jake Oettinger's future contracts?
If Jake goes out and has a great year, it certainly affects Jake Oettinger's future contract, because Swayman will be very much used as a bit of a comp in his future deal by Oettinger's camp. If say Swayman gets the type of money he wants, and Oettinger has a similar year, Oettinger's camp will come in as RFA and be like, hey, look what Jeremy Swayman got. I want this amount. It behooves Oettinger for Swayman to get as much money as possible, so he can then capitalize on it next year. And that's just kind of it's a natural market inflation. But again, I also come back to this with Oettinger. It's all about proving he can be that guy throughout consistently the season, so that he can confidently look the stars in the eye and say, I am on the same level as Jeremy Swayman. That's the big thing.
We had an interesting conversation. Oettinger spoke with our press contingent today after practice at training camp, and he said that he's not nursing anything physically. I'm paraphrasing, but basically the fact that he had a healthy offseason compared to last year, and he's not trying to overcome any kind of even minor lingering injury, he feels really confident. He said, I asked him how many, what his preseason would be ideal to get him ready, and he said the more games the better. And Sean, I thought this was great as a goalie. He said you can't simulate standing around doing nothing for 5 minutes and then having to stop a 2-on-1. He wants to play, he said, 2 to 3 games of, what is it, 6, I think the Stars have?
Yeah, I think
to get ready. So it'll be interesting to see how they use the other goalies, whether it's just Casey DeSmith, or do they give some of the younger guys, or Magnus Hellberg or Remy Poirier or Kraz. But Jake feels good, and I think that will help him. He got off to a great start last year, but we know that he was fighting that recovery, so he wasn't 100% going into last year.
Yeah, a couple points. Sorry to interrupt. Just going to say, I talked to him this summer, and he said not only was it good for his training and his getting ready for the season and skating, he also is a very active guy. He likes to golf. He likes to play. I don't know if it's pickleball or whatever. Run around and play sports and just be active.
I think he just likes to go run around.
Yeah, he just likes to go in the field and just run around in circles.
Do somersaults.
No, but he was saying, he was like, I just like to be active and outdoors and moving around, and that was what really crushed him last summer, was that he couldn't just go do that. You know, let's say a friend wanted to go throw a football on the field and run around, he couldn't do it. And that was really hard for him because he's an active guy.
I'm picturing like elementary school recess here. I'm thinking he's more like he's out playing golf and he couldn't do that. But I don't. Maybe he is. Maybe he's out throwing. I didn't want to say golf because golf is not an active sport. That's why I was saying that. But golf is quite an active sport if you're injured.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Yes. If you're injured.
You should see the way Sean plays. He's in every tree. He's out in the woods.
Oh
no.
We got to make sure Sean's Wi-Fi is a little stronger because he's glitching a little bit.
No, I hear you're making fun of my golf game, and so I just unplugged my computer.
That's what it is. Well, I'm glad you heard that at least.
But one thing Jake did also, or that Pete mentioned about Jake that was important, is that if they had the perfect world and both goalies were healthy all year, he would like Jake to play around 55 games. I think that was important.
Which is about the right number these days. It's not 60 to 65 anymore.
It's big to keep him healthy. We know that he's dealt with some injuries, and they have what I think will be a very capable backup like they've had the last couple of years that can fill in when needed. So that's huge.
All right, Sean, if you have to mess with your connection or if you're good, do it now because we're going to talk about the DLLS Die Hard program one more time from a different angle, because not only can you access as a diehard the Discord channel and ask great questions for Ludz's damn Discord every week, but you can also meet Sam and take selfies.
Oh.
Sam, you are an absolute magnet for DLLS Dallas Stars podcast fans today in Frisco.
I want Sean to give me his shot first. Sean, what are you gonna say?
I was going to say all of these people are getting to meet Sam before I have. I have not met Sam in person. That's why Sam and I have never been in the same room at the same time. So I'm so happy for all these people. They can tell me whether Sam's actually a good human or not. So I can see all of these pictures and everything like that.
Yes,
so.
yes. Well, one day we'll get Sean. That's part of our super chat, right? We
Yes.
get Sean to Dallas so I can meet him. But yeah, met Jimmy, who's a huge fan of ours. He's been watching every show and commenting a ton. So
that was that photo that John just popped up on the screen. Go ahead, John. Put it up one more time.
Yeah. My man Jimmy here came right up. He was very excited that he got to come. He lives far away. He drove like over an hour to get to camp today. So
Southwest Arlington, he said.
Appreciate it, Jimmy, and appreciate your support on the show. But yeah, I felt bad today because when we walk out of that media room, I was telling Owen, you walk out of the new. There's Jimmy.
Yeah, he just chimed in.
When you walk out of that media room, all the fans are lining up there, and you open those doors, and the way the doors open at that tunnel at Frisco is they open up like you're a celebrity coming out and the doors open. You feel like you should have a smoke machine behind you. And then it's just like me and Owen or like me and another writer and everyone's like, oh.
Because they're all hoping it's one of the Stars players and then Sam walks out.
But after I got past that first disappointment, there were plenty of people yelling about the show and asking what we were talking about today. So a lot of support for DLS over in Frisco and we appreciate it.
All right, we're going to go.
The fact people want to take Sam's picture is amazing to me. I mean, it's got to be the singing talent. It's got to be the dual threat. It's got to be all of that because it's the socks. Apparently the socks. It's got. I mean, that's what it's got to be.
Today.
Because I've been in that situation before lots of times where I've opened doors and walked out and just left people incredibly disappointed to see me, and they've never asked to take a picture with me. So,
well, I will say it's key for us now because we're on they can see who I am. You know, they may read all your stuff, Sean, but now you're on the screen, so I think it might be a different story now.
Maybe.
All right,
I think I just disappoint people. That's all.
We're going to, hey, definitely become a DLLS Dallas Stars podcast and DLLS diehard. We appreciate all the support. We're going to go around the NHL. Before we do, Sean, we have a little time to get your 2 cents on the Lindell and Harley contracts since you weren't on our show when those two dropped.
Yeah. Harley deal makes a ton of
we
sense.
We have a graphic for you and everything.
Yeah, this is amazing. Like this is great when he doesn't have to when our producer doesn't have to wrangle Lutz. He can do all this other cool stuff. So it's so yeah, the Harley deal. I thought it made a ton of sense for both sides because Harley was never going to get the term and the dollar amount that was going to fit in the Stars cap space. So he gets to bet on himself. It's a pretty good comp for. Out there, I thought it worked well. The Lindell one, I think people probably got a little bit of sticker shock from seeing him at $5 million, but I think as the cap goes up, who else are you going to sign? And I know you guys talked quite a bit about what this means, and you covered it pretty well. For me, the big thing that's just been interesting, kind of on the Stars space, where they've gone is none of these deals got overly inflated the way they could have potentially been. We heard like all of like the worrisome, and like I know there's a lot of fan worry and rumor and stuff about like, hey, how much Harley was going to make, how much this. Even the Lindell deal wasn't that bad. So nice piece of work by Jim Nill on all of this. Couple things, it didn't end up hurting future negotiations. The Wyatt Johnston stuff is still on track for a nice piece next year. So it's I think you guys covered it pretty well, but I'll give you kudos for that too. That's my 2 cents.
All right, time to go around the NHL here, and boy, we could do each of these topics for the rest of the segment, so we'll try to do it as briefly as we can. Let's start with the captain's debate. Not only did Radko Gudas get named the captain of the Anaheim Ducks yesterday, but our counterparts at PHNX, the All-City Network in Phoenix, Arizona, who is now also using Craig Morgan and Steve Peters, are doing a Utah podcast as part of All City, covering the new Utah Hockey Club. They were, of course, instrumental in our coverage of, or the whole company's coverage of the Arizona Coyotes. And they had Andre Tourigny, the head coach of the new Utah Hockey Club, on. And I thought there was an interesting discussion about the captaincy there. Here's what he had to say.
That's a topic we talk all the time, you know?
Yeah.
And I said that before. For me, a captain, Craig and Petey think they know who's the captain. The fans think they know who's the captain. The owner thinks he knows who's the captain. The GM thinks he knows who's the captain. The coach thinks he names a captain. And the player thinks they choose a captain. When all of those people have the same name, then we have a captain.
Yeah.
That is one thing. Two, now when you're a captain, you need to be ready. There's responsibility, there's role, there's actual action you need to take. And people think it's a press conference. That's in the bottom of the thing. Don't worry about that. If you're capable of being captain, there's a chance you can handle the press conference. I'm not worried about that. It's how will you conduct yourself if you're 6 game without producing, you're -4 in 6 game, but there's a situation in the team where you need to step up and do what you have to do. Will you be comfy enough to do it? You know, and I'm not a believer of, this 21 years old guy will be a great captain. We'll put him captain right away. No, that's not my philosophy. The other team does that. I don't judge. They do their thing the way they think it should be. For me, okay, we think he will be. Let him grow, and when he will be ready, he will be captain. Don't worry about it. But if you're captain, for me, you're ready to be captain. Not because you will become. No, you are. You are our captain.
Sean, I don't want to steal all your talking points on this, but this goes back to our discussion of who would be the eventual successor for Jamie Benn in Dallas, which I don't think will be after this year. Jim Nill had said he's going to be a Dallas Star for life as long as he's the GM. But it does touch on our NHL news the other day when Nick Foligno, I don't want to get those two confused.
Other Foligno.
The other one, Nick in Chicago, Marcus, of course, with Minnesota. And him being named captain and them not just throwing it at Connor Bedard. Same with Wyatt. I think Wyatt could be very capable. It doesn't mean he's going to be the one. But Luddy was talking with us yesterday about how he can't stand – but just point to the empty chair. He can't stand teams that don't have a captain, that leave it vacant when their previous captain either retires or gets traded or signs with a new team. He feels it shows a lack of direction.
Yeah, you and I were talking on the phone about this the other day, and it's the whole former Stars goalie Mike McKenna always brings this up every year. Like, the last team to win a Stanley Cup without a captain was the 1972 Boston Bruins. Like, it's been that long since a team without a captain has won a Stanley Cup.
We're laughing because our producer John just pumped his fist in the background.
Yeah, I mean,
he was minus 20 years old, but he was cheering for it.
But I agree with him. Like, it's people. I think people get overly wrapped up in the whole like the passing of it on or anything like that. I actually liked that Seattle named Mark Giordano the captain. I know they traded him mid-season and everything like that when he came in, but I like that they went and did it. It gave the fan base something, it gave the team something to build around. It gave this, it gave all of that. Like, I think if you just have a leadership group and a bunch of A's or whatever, I think it shows that you don't have the guy there who can be the person you're going to follow through. So I agree with Luds on this. So
yeah, I 100% agree. The way I look at it is, like, obviously it's a little different when you're looking at like a high school team, but like you would never have a high school team that just doesn't have a captain just because someone's not like the true Jamie Benn captain that's ready. NHL teams don't have to have someone that's going to be your captain for the next 15 years. You can have someone who, this is our captain this season.
Or this
he might
is our
not be here
captain
this
right
year.
now.
Yeah, he might not be here next year, but this is the guy we want to lead our team right now this season. And I don't know why teams don't do it more. I think they might take it a little too seriously and think like this guy needs to be the guy we believe is going to lead our franchise for 10 years. And I don't think that needs to be the case all the time.
No, I agree. I think that the coaching staff, I think the GM, his staff, and the players can all, if they can do it with a bunch of different ways. The GM can name a captain, the coach can name a captain, the players can vote on a captain. However you want to do it, maybe be a united front, but at some point it's not that hard to do. Now, again, is it better to have, I mean, Jamie Benn, I believe it was yesterday, was the 11th anniversary, marked the end of 11 years and on to his 12th as captain of the, there's the logo. So 11 years ago, it was September 19th, 2013, Jamie Benn was named the captain of the Dallas Stars.
Is that Lindy Ruff?
It was with Lindy Ruff and Jim Nill at the time. He's the sixth captain since the franchise moved to Dallas, but he is the longest captain in Dallas Stars history. And not every time you name somebody the C does it have to be for a decade plus.
He's also the fourth longest serving captain in the NHL right now, actually, too. Like, if you think about it that way. Did you guys do your homework on this? Do you know who the top three are? Should we go with that? I always like bringing these trivia
Stamkos
questions.
would have been up there. Was Stamkos up there too before he now is not?
You just gave an answer that you know is not correct.
No, I'm just asking it in general though.
Yes, yeah. He was close. Yeah, he was up there. Yeah, but the other ones are fairly obvious.
You want to take a guess, Sam?
I'm just trying to think now. My brain is
long-serving
all stars
captains
right now.
Well, of course, Jonathan Taves would have been, but he's since retired, so he's not the captain anymore.
Yeah.
The one I was thinking of was, is Roman Josi in that mix?
He's been the captain since 27-18, so no, he is.
You're talking about longer than Jamie. Okay.
Yeah, there's three that have been longer than Jamie.
Well,
these are active, right? We're talking about
active.
Three
Oh,
active.
they have to be. Yeah.
Yeah.
I know this is bad. Marchand.
Nope.
No.
No, because Bergeron was the captain for a
Oh,
little bit before.
Crosby.
Crosby, yes. Crosby is the longest serving captain.
Ovechkin probably too. Then if Crosby,
yes,
that's the same.
Yep. Yes.
That's two.
Yep. That's one and two.
If you say Zdeno Chara, John will be happy, but you're wrong.
Yeah.
Third longest serving captain active right now. I can't think of it off the top of my head.
What division? Give me the division.
This one. He's not playing this year, but he might play this year. It's Landeskog. Landeskog's the one where it's kind of like,
I don't know if I would have come up with that off the top of my head.
Because Landeskog was named captain. I think it was the year before Ben was named the captain. So that's the other one, even though he technically hasn't played.
I always forget if it was like a year apart. Was Ben named captain right when they changed the uniforms and the Victory Rising and all that? Was it the same year?
Yes, it was.
So.
It was part. It was all part of that. I mean, not part of it. Just they coincided well with everything that way. So,
all right, good trivia, Sean. Good trivia.
Yeah, I always try to bring something to the show so I get invited back at least once the following week.
Well, I just want to see you draw something up on that board behind you.
Yes.
Besides kerfuffle,
the kerfuffle board.
Yeah, with your big ass pens.
Yeah.
So, hey, I think we need to spend more time than the time we have left talking about this news about NHL possible expansion. So maybe I've been saying this a lot lately. Let's put a pin in it, but let's hold off on that for maybe next week because we could do an entire segment about potential expansion, especially with the likes of Houston and Atlanta being at the forefront of that.
Yeah.
But maybe a brief discussion before we end as we go around the NHL is about Kyle Opozo, who just announced he's retiring. 36-year-old, I remember him coming up from the New York Islanders system, big draft pick, 17 NHL seasons. He dealt with some serious physical injuries over the previous years. It was great to see him win a cup with the Florida Panthers, as you see the logo on our screen. But this is an American player that was so good for a large part of his career and ended up going out on top, which was great because, he played for Buffalo for a bit, mostly with the Islanders. And at his peak, he was a heck of a player.
Another former captain, too. We just talked about, he was the most recent captain of the Buffalo Sabres before the trade. And would have been and now they're going to replace him. So, yeah, this all ties in pretty well. And he was a guy, because I covered a bunch of the Cup final, and he was someone who, when you were talking to him, he went through, and you could tell it was kind of the end. He had talked about how after the trade, the family stayed up in Buffalo. He was kind of without his kids. The kids came down during the playoffs started, obviously, to kind of watch the Cup run with Dad. But it was one of those guys where that was one of those stories where whenever when a team wins the Cup, those are the stories that make you happy because he was always so great. He was always so great to the media. He was so great to other people. That was one of the good stories about Florida winning it all.
Yeah, he's someone who feels like he'll be in a front office at somewhere. He's a very smart guy. He has that personality Sean just mentioned. I've heard from everybody that he's been amazing to
Is that our
logo?
There we go.
I like it. Arts and crafts with Sean.
That is awesome. Sean is drawing our logo. I'm sure you'll see this on social media later, but if you're not watching Sean drew our logo, it's beautiful. But good, great career.
Yeah.
So happy to see when guys win. Especially when they're good people, they're around forever. They pay their dues. You go to Buffalo for forever and you miss the playoffs a whole lot, and then you get to win a cup. It's great, but I would not be surprised to see him in a front office relatively soon.
So that wraps up today's show. Don't forget, we have a preseason opener tomorrow. We won't be doing a pre or post game show for that. Our preseason dress rehearsal for our pre and post show will be next Wednesday for the Minnesota home game, which will be the third of the 6 preseason game schedule. The Victory Plus will be fun to watch. Sam, you're going to be live at the AAC. I actually have FC Dallas play-by-play duty tomorrow night. They're home against LAFC, so I won't be at American Airlines Center. Sean lives in Detroit, so he also won't be there. There's Sean.
There we have a map. There we have a map.
He's back on the map. For all those of you geography majors that know where Michigan is, that's where Sean is.
It's a early start tomorrow, too.
6 o'clock.
6 o'clock.
What are you looking for? I mean, obviously we talked about it, but are you looking forward to covering a game at the AAC for the first time in over a year?
I am. I'm excited. I think
more than that.
Morning skate. If you followed me at all when I was here previously, morning skate was my happy place, man. I love being there. I get there way too early and I stay way too late. I just like being around the players. You get to talk to some other teams' players a little bit. It's a little more free flowing, and being there for morning skate is exciting. And then I think the game will be fun. I'm hoping DeFranks is coming. He told me see you in a few weeks when I was moving down here, so I'm assuming he is. Hopefully Fox is in the lineup. I'm assuming Suter will not be traveling with the Blues for the first preseason game, but Fox maybe. But it's just exciting to have hockey back, and I know it'll be a lot of prospects and things, but we'll have the prospects are the ones to watch, right? The prospects. I know Sean doesn't want to call them that anymore, but the young guys battling for the spot.
I'm fine
is the
with
exciting.
Prospects,
is the exciting part to watch.
No, there are prospects.
So.
He's just saying some guys aren't prospects.
Yeah,
anymore.
I'm saying the guys we were just talking about that have a shot to make it. These early games are the ones that they really can get a lot of minutes before the veterans are getting in, and it's just going to be an exciting time to have hockey back.
Unlike last year, where the Stars played the Blues twice in the preseason and then opened the season against them, they won't do that. So this will be kind of nice that the preseason opponents and the regular season aren't within the same week and a half.
We might see, and we also might see. I'm assuming he's in camp with them. I think we might see Adam Jirasek, who was the Blues' first round pick, playing in that game too. Because one of the things, when it comes to these preseason games, you have to dress 8 veterans, and using air quotes for those not listening right now. And typically those veteran rules are anyone who played 30 NHL games the season prior, or anyone who has 100 career NHL games counts as a veteran. The other work around it too is any first-round pick from the most recent draft also helps fill that spot. So when you see the Stars playing Emil Hemming, when you see the Blues playing Adam Jirasek, they want to see those guys play. They want to see them. But there's also the part of it, they're doing their part to fill the CBA requirement of icing a roster that is technically deserving of someone paying to enter the building.
Yeah, and the fans get to see the first-round picks, right? Which is always nice, especially if it's someone who's exciting, like we've talked about Hemming being. Check out Sean's article from yesterday if you haven't already read it.
Make sure you like and subscribe. It really does help us, especially the follows, whether it's on YouTube, on Twitter, at DLS_stars, and of course the main account at DLS_sports, and everywhere you get your audio platforms. It very much benefits all of us to have you do all that.
We miss you, Luds.
I will be looking forward to watching the preseason game on on demand on Victory Plus, which, by the way, on the Stars' new app, you can also watch all of their press conferences, the scrums we did today, the media availability. They're putting all that stuff. I actually went back and watched the Jim Nill opening presser from Wednesday on my phone on Victory Plus this morning.
Yeah, they're pretty quick to put them up.
Very
too.
easy to get to. So, and we'll probably be pulling some of that to play on our show as well. So that'll do it for today and for the week. I can't believe we're done with. Is that
This is 4 weeks.
4 weeks already?
Wow.
How about that?
Wow.
We
Good job,
are.
guys.
We are. Thank you. Yeah, we
Beautiful.
appreciate all
Yeah.
your support. We love seeing you out at the practice rink in Frisco. Hope you see you over at the AAC as well. Have a great weekend for Sean Shapiro and Sam Nessler, and for the absent Craig Ludwig and our producer John Anderson. I'm Owen Newkirk. Have a great weekend. We'll see you Monday, 2:00 Central Time, for our next DLS Dallas Stars podcast. So long, everyone.
We all silly like the mayor.